She was everybody's sister, she was everybody's daughter, she was everybody's friend, she was everybody's leader. And that kind of love from the people you cannot buy from a slush fund.
The party called 40 days of mourning after her death, so there's been no real political campaign.
The time for mourning is not over for us, so bear with us if we stumble on the way. But certainly, we are trying to pick up where she left off.
Everyone expects a large sympathy vote in next week's poll. It will never be known whether Benazir could have won. If she had, there was no guarantee she would have been effective. As Prime Minister twice before, her family did little to help the poor. But here, the true believers would disagree. With an election imminent, the party's office in the capital Islamabad should be buzzing with activity by now. But I find only the caretaker, Sain Taj.
बिल्कुल अंधेरा ही अंधेरा सब पास अंधेरा कोई समझ नहीं आ रही पाकिस्तान का क्या होगा अल्लाह ही है ऊपर बैठा हुआ असा दिल दी गल है उन्हें कि कुछ भी नहीं नजर आ रहा है पार्टी के वर्कर जरा जसास हो गए दो जने चौगन मुगल जनाब जी वर्कर सारे जनाब जी सले पागल होए बैठे भी क्या हो गया साढ़े नाल
The caretaker's beloved party is no longer led by a Bhutto. And Asif Ali Zardari is a potentially divisive figure. When his wife was Prime Minister, he was known as Mr. 10% for receiving kickbacks from government projects. The former playboy spent 11 years in jail for what he says were trumped-up corruption charges. And you are convinced that you are the right man for the job to take the party forward now?
She was convinced, the party is convinced. I think I'll stand up and be counted.
Zardari knows the power of the Bhutto name, so he made their 19-year-old son, Bilawal, co-chair of the party. But it will be another 6 years before Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is even able to enter politics here. So for the moment, his father is in the hot seat. I have also spoken to many of the party workers who have told me that they're prepared to put their lives on the line for your son. But I haven't heard that said that they would be prepared to do that for you.
Well, I'm hoping that they won't need to do it for anybody. The idea is to make a Pakistan where nobody has to put their life in the aid of democracy. But I welcome their sentiments for my son and I welcome their commitment to democracy. It just shows how committed people of Pakistan are to democracy. Whether it is for my son or whether it was for her, the fact that they are committed to democracy is the important message here.
The 40-day mourning period has now ended, but there was only ever going to be one plan for the PPP: rely heavily on photos and images of the Bhutto martyrs.
I think image is the only thing that Pakistan People's Party has today. If you remove Benazir Bhutto and her father, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, from the political campaign, what is left? Mr. Zardari, and I don't think that he is charismatic or he has a good reputation in the country, and he has primarily been lucky being at the right time in Pakistan's history, at the right place, in the right family, and that is what is going to benefit him. But I think if there is going to be any benefit, this is going to be very temporary. I don't think that Pakistan People's Party has anything left with Benazir Bhutto gone.
Although there's an overwhelming mood here that Musharraf should stand aside, he remains a powerful political force. The parliament is stacked with his supporters, and he's even influential in poor areas like this. These people have been squatting here on government land for 11 years, starting off in tents. They say this government has looked after their interests. In the run-up to the election without a campaign, the governing party has been making well-targeted promises. They're putting in retaining walls and the telephone line, and there's even something for the kids. The election promises are clearly having the required effect in this marginal electorate. And this year, the party has played its trump card and is promising people here title to their homes. Some people might say this is vote rigging. This is kind of buying votes.
हाँ जी इन्ना साडे मतलब लोगों ने ना हस्पताल हरी खोले स्कूल खोले असी केंजे सी मतलब रहिए उन्होंने वोट ऐ दौर जो मुशर्रफ दा
Vote buying may be one thing, but Rais says the whole electoral system has been rorted.
The judiciary, which is ultimately going to decide the eligibility of the candidates, is not fair, is not independent. And second is that the person who holds the office of Chief Election Commissioner in Pakistan is not independent of the wishes of the President.
I was told the Chief Election Commissioner does not give interviews, but his deputy does. I read today that a Gallup poll says that only 15% of Pakistani people believe that the elections will be free and fair. Why do you think there's so much mistrust?
No. In Pakistan, the Gallup research report is not so authenticated. They are the imaginary. So we do not believe such kind of the Gallup research report.
As for a damning report from the National Democratic Institute that says blackmail, intimidation and pre-poll rigging is rampant...
The country director of the NDA is a friend of mine. All election-related issues which are being issued by her is based on imaginary.
What about the fact that a lot of the judges are under house arrest and the Supreme Court...
No, the election commission does not come. The election commission of Pakistan does not come under the purview. But
won't that affect the running of the election?
No, it will affect.
Yesterday I met the president of Islamabad Bar Association, who said that this office has no credibility whatsoever.
That is the own imaginary talks. We cannot say anything. Election Commission of Pakistan is a purely constitutional organization body.
He says
the head of the Chief Election Commissioner.
He says the chief
is very independent. Very, no compromise. This is independent Election Commission of Pakistan. Yeah. Just like in other democratic countries, we are more independent than American Chief Election Commissioner.
Okay, so his allegation that the no election... why are you laughing?
Yeah, I'm so laughing. Huh? My colleague is laughing. Because we are independent, we are very much strengthening your point of view. We are independent. How can we challenge it that we are not independent? We are independent. Election Commission.
I'm just quoting you what people are telling me.
No.
Nawaz Sharif is the other main contender for the Prime Minister's job.
अच्छा है ठीक है अच्छी बात है
Do you think the elections will be free and fair? That's what the election commission told me yesterday.
No.
He said that they definitely will be.
Well, they fired the first shot by rejecting my nomination papers. Would you call them free and fair elections?
So what are you going to do if the elections go ahead and they're not free and fair? What will be your reaction?
We will resist that. We will resist to the last day. We will continue to launch this struggle against dictatorial style of ruling the country.
Like Benazir, Nawaz Sharif is from a powerful clan and has also been Prime Minister before, but was overthrown by Musharraf in a coup. While the rival PPP is still in shock, Nawaz Sharif has plans for the future.
होगा ऐसे कि मुशर्रफ साहब स्टेप डाउन करेंगे और आइन में लिखा हुआ है जो नया मुद्दा चेयरमैन सेनेट वो संभालेगा और उसके बाद फिर अगले काम जो अपने अंजाम को पहुंचेंगे। इलेक्शंस होंगे, नए प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शंस होंगे और फिर जुडिशरी रिस्टोर होगी, फिर जुडिशरी जो फैसला करेगी ये एक दिन होगा।
I think the assumption is that Mr. Musharraf would not be around, and nobody knows how he is going to be out of the power. The other thing is that Nawaz Sharif seems to be interested in democratic transition at the moment, and he is emerging as a statesman and not rather a power-hungry politician. He doesn't want to be depicted in those lights. So what he is basically
Which is
promoting
how he was remembered, is it?
Yes.
और फिर 8.25 साल से इस मुल्क के ऊपर आमरीत का कब्जा है। आइन मुकम्मल तौर के ऊपर ख़त्म यानी मसख हो चुका है और इदारे पाकिस्तान के तबाही और बर्बादी का शिकार हैं, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है। और अदलिया को बिल्कुल तबाह बर्बाद करके रख दिया गया है। जजेस जो हैं वो घरों में नज़रबंद हैं। मैं नहीं समझता कि इस तरह की मिसाल किसी भी मुहज़्ज़ब तो दूर की बात है किसी भी दुनिया के मुल्क के बारे में दी जा सकती हो जो कि
Pakistan faces a critical moment in its turbulent history. This complex nation combines Sunni and Shia, the secular and the fundamental, feudal warlords and Oxford-educated elites. Meanwhile, President Musharraf supports the US and its war on terror, where most of the Pakistani people do not. Whichever party wins next week will need to juggle these competing forces, which some say threaten to tear the nation apart.
If the PPP does win this election, can you explain to me how you plan to balance the different interest groups in this complicated country?
By making across the board large coalition with us. The idea is to share power with everybody and anybody and then collectively take decisions, because the issues and the problems are so deep and so far-reaching that unless we don't have collective wisdom, unless we don't have all the folds of the society with us, we will not be able to solve the problem.
I think this is a new thinking taking very deep root in Pakistan across the political divide. That time has come that the mainstream political parties work together, and the idea is that a government of national consensus for next 5 years, so that we have stability, we tackle those issues, and then they may be contesting elections.